and welcome to Find It this Wednesday evening. I'm super excited to bring this guest to you. I actually met him finally in person last week when I was in Dallas, and he is the coolest dude. I'm telling you, and he does a lot. And I have known him for about a year on our Grow Live Academy, and I did not know the half of what he does. So I'm going to learn a little bit more about him right along with you, but I know enough to tell you it's going to be a great show. So hang tight because Nick Ogilvie is going to be right back with us after his intro. Nick, how you doing?
Good, and you?
I'm so excited to have you on. I mean, the fact that we were just together exactly a week. It was last Wednesday. We had dinner for my birthday,
Yep.
and I got to meet you in person. And that's what I was saying at the beginning, that we have been in Grow Live Academy for over a year. Yep. And you're always on, and I always see you. But you really haven't talked much about yourself, and you'll chime in and give advice about business stuff. And you've always been super cool. But then we had dinner and we all talking business and different stuff. And I was blown away by what you currently do and the path to get there. So here's what I would like to do, Nick. And Nick Ogilvie, here's the other thing. I kept thinking, why does that name sound familiar? Ogilvie. It's the perm.
That's right.
That's perm. Right. My grandmother used to get Ogilvie perms, and I'm like, well,
I use it all the time, and look how it's beautiful.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Maybe used a little too much, and that's what happened.
It was.
That's what happened. It burned it right off. But anyway, so I'm fairly certain you're not involved with Ogilvie, but I'm not going to be presumptuous and assume not.
No, I'm not.
Okay. So I want to start with this. And then we can back up and do whatever. But I want the people to understand, that you took a situation in your life where you were let go or laid off or whatever the circumstances were in your job. And then you took that and ran with it and created huge success. So in a time where most people would be like in a corner licking their wounds, you did something different. And can you back up and tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I've always been, I guess, entrepreneurial spirit, I guess you would say. And what I did was when I got laid off at the railroad, I thought, well, I just don't want to sit here and do nothing. I mean, you kind of get paid, a little bit as you're laid off, but I want to make some real money. So I thought, well, in my downtime, if I'm getting paid anyways from, it's a union job, so you get paid a little bit, I need to figure out what I want to do. And I found out that, hey, I'm going to try this artificial turf deal. And so I flew to California. I paid this guy to teach me, and I had to pay to live out there and everything like that. And he taught me what he knew. And then I brought it back to New Mexico where I opened up my turf business.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So first of all, when you were laid off, you started investigating different types of businesses and different needs.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was artificial turf or solar. They said back in the day, it had the Smart Money magazine.
Yeah.
And it said that those were the two industries in the next 30 years that are going to be up and coming. Yeah. So I thought, well, heck, let's try artificial turf.
What made you decide artificial turf instead of solar?
Well, one, people that know me, like, I'm all in. Like, if I was going to do electric, I'd want to go back to college and learn electrical engineering and figure out, because I want to be the best at whatever I do.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, I really love golf. And Ken, hello.
Hi, Ken Walls.
Shoot.
We were talking about you before you showed up.
All good.
Tardy to the party, Ken Walls.
So I love golf, and I've been playing it since the age of 7. And I thought, well, heck, why not do this and build some golf courses if I ever get a chance to, put some putting greens in people's backyards. And yeah, I was actually ended up being the first person in the United States to build a golf course using artificial turf.
Okay, now wait, listen to this. We all know there's a lot of space in a golf course, and you actually artificial turfed a full golf course.
So it was the greens, tee
Okay.
boxes, and fringe.
Okay.
And then I also built a driving range.
Oh my gosh. Where is this place?
Amarillo, Texas, at River Falls.
River Falls in Amarillo, Texas. And
Yeah.
you do you live right in Dallas?
No, I live north in a town called Salina, Texas.
Okay.
And actually, that's where Ken lives as well. We're kind of neighbors.
Buddies. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
So
it.
it's
But I'm serious. So let me find this while Lynn, pull up the picture from dinner last Wednesday, you guys. I did this. I cropped it because you're hiding behind everybody. Show the other one. You can't even see you. It's like, where's Waldo? That's like,
Right.
you know what I mean? There he is. So it was such a fun night. And to be able to actually meet someone in person that you've met online, you know, in our class, on our Zoom, and then we got together and it was just like, we always knew each other, you know, it was really cool. I enjoyed it so much. So thank you for being there and all the great business advice you're giving me for my new business. Ken Walls is saying, please don't tell people where I live. But anyway, yeah. The paparazzi are going to follow me. But yeah, so that's really a cool story about the turf. And that's what you currently do. But back up a little bit and tell us what you did before you got to what you're currently doing.
So you want me to tell about the railroad?
Yeah.
So I worked for a BNSF railroad, and I was a conductor, and I actually liked it. I loved it. I didn't love being on call 24/7 though, and I didn't love having your train break down on the side of a mountain in the middle of the night in a snowstorm.
Oh.
Because the conductor is the guy that has to go out there and walk the train to figure out where it was broke. And then you got to go fix it. And so it's, you know, I didn't like that part. And it takes a lot of stuff to scare me. But it's kind of funny is, you know, you're in the middle of the night out in the middle of nowhere and your train breaks down and you're walking. And the funny story, I was out walking because our train had broke and I felt like something was watching me.
Yeah.
And so I looked back and there was a cow right there just watching me, and it scared me.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I was like, what? But it, you know, it's just funny because there's not going to do anything, but it's just, it's funny.
Yeah. Do you hear, I can hear Ken in my head singing, I've been working on the railroad all the long day.
Yeah.
He's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Well, he's just like our local comedian up in here tonight, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's an interest. So, but wait, so you in college, you took a ton of leadership roles, but even before you went to college, when you were in high school, you did some pretty cool stuff that I've never heard of, like a teenager doing. Tell us about that.
So I always want to be involved in the community, and that's when it was part of the Parks and Recreation. And we had a meeting, I believe it was every month, and we talked about, and that's where I learned about gross receipts taxes and stuff like that, and how you need to have, you know, people show up to these events to pay taxes in order for your Parks and Recreation to, you know, so it was neat. And then I was part of DECA, which was a marketing and business deal, BPA, Business Professionals of America. Stuff like that. I loved it. I loved it all.
So funny. I mean, it's not funny. It's really cool that you enjoyed that. But when Parks and Rec, I've never heard of a high schooler being part of that and learning through that. But that just goes to show that you always kind of had a zest for business, right? Yeah. Is what you're doing. I mean, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? I mean, besides Superman or something like that.
So what's funny is, as a child, I drew a picture of a caboose because I wanted to work for the railroad.
No way.
Yeah, craziest thing. And I'd given it to my dad because he worked at the railroad.
Okay, well then that's making more sense. Your dad, you want to be like what your dad is.
Yeah, and so, you know, it's kind of crazy how it happened. And then, I was in college. I was one semester away from graduating, and it was that's awesome. And so I was one semester away from graduating, and I saw all my friends, all my fraternity brothers and stuff getting these degrees, and they weren't using their degree.
Right.
And they were up to their eyeballs in debt. And so I had someone with BNSF come to me and said, well, have you ever thought about just hiring on here? And I thought, you know what? I need to, because I'm not going to make the money with a general business education right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. I quit a semester before graduating and did that.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history. Yeah. I was real fortunate. My parents are hard workers. My grandparents hard workers. And both my granddads had their own business. My one granddad owned a dry cleaners, and the other one was a diesel mechanic. So polar opposites, both had to deal with the public, and it was really neat to see how all that was. And then my great grandparents, I was really blessed because I had the opportunity to go to the farm every Friday with my mama and papa. And then during the summer, I was out there almost all the time. And, my great granddad was such a hard worker. He, he's on that tractor all the time. It was so funny because I'd be out there, sitting right next to him on the tractor. And he had a Clorox bottle with ice water with a towel wrapped around it. And then had a piece of baling wire attached to the tractor. And so that's our water jug. That's what we drink water out of.
Oh, well, my gosh. You'll have clean pipes.
Right.
Clorox.
It was funny. And then you'd see my great grandmother, if it's lunchtime, you'd see this Buick hauling butt across the field, to give us our, it's just funny.
That's awesome. Funny. That's awesome memories though.
Yeah.
Now, that was in New Mexico? And then when did you move from New Mexico? College?
Yep, college. And then I moved back to New Mexico when I hired out the railroad. And then I moved to Amarillo 4 or 5 years into the railroad. I moved to Amarillo and did the run from Amarillo to Wellington, Kansas.
Wow.
And so it was.
And so wait a minute. How? Now, this is what I think I have my information correct. How did you meet a sweet, good old Kentuckian girl to marry?
Well, I met her 3 years ago.
Okay.
And, actually 4 years ago.
Get it straight, Nico.
August 2nd, 2019.
Okay.
And I met her when I was living in Tampa. She was with some girlfriends at the beach.
Oh, she was on a vacation.
With her girlfriends.
Okay.
And, and it's awesome. It's like we've been best friends since day one. And it's, and just had my first grandchild.
Oh.
So it's so awesome. My whole life's changed for the better. It's
Okay. So for those of you who are just listening, hopefully you guys grab your favorite drink, whether that's water or a cocktail, I don't care, and listen to some of these comments. So when I'm like, how did you meet your girlfriend? Put that back up. Ken Walls, he is really on one tonight. Nick was a male stripper. She had a fistful of dollar bills. Okay, Ken, we're going to put him on sidebar for a second. I like it. But anyway, so you guys met and then started dating, and then that, you guys were kind of in different parts. You were in Texas, and then she went back to Kentucky, but then you.
Yeah. And I told her, I said, well, what are you doing next weekend? And she goes, I don't know. I said, well, I'm going to be in Orlando. So I would like for you to join me in Orlando. And, so I got her a plane ticket, and she came out here, and it was just crazy because, and I always tell her this, I even remember what she was wearing. Purple shirt with white pants on, and she come around and out the escalator and her big old smile on her face.
Aww.
It's just it's great.
That's amazing. I love that. That's good. You can't go wrong with a Kentuckian girl. But then now, where is she? She moved. You guys got married.
Yep.
And then she moved to Texas.
Yep.
And then you might be doing some real estate exchanges soon. So you may have to go to Kentucky because you have another place there, right?
We do have another place there, but I will be staying here in Salina.
Okay, you're not going to go to the great state of Kentucky.
Yeah, I'll be back and forth. Anessa will be there more than I will, but my business and everything, the hub is here.
Gotcha. So that's where, I mean, your artificial turf, the hub is in Salina, Texas. Yep. Okay, so what's funny is you never dreamt as a young kid, hey, I want to sell artificial turf, but here you are.
Exactly.
And right after you did what you thought you wanted to do, which was being a conductor. So let's start asking some questions that I have for you. What is the most exciting part of your job?
Okay, so that's an easy one.
Okay.
It's to see the people's faces after we get done. And then go like, wow, I cannot believe this is our yard.
Yeah.
And their pets going over there and start barrel rolling on the turf and stuff like that. It's amazing. Like people say, I mean, literally people have told me this is life-changing. Which is crazy. You wouldn't think that for artificial turf, but people are just like, we love it. I mean, it's great. Well,
where you are, it's probably barren. Like they probably don't have green grass very often in their yards now without a lot of water.
With a lot of water, yeah, you got to have a lot of water. So it's in the water bills up here are expensive.
Yeah. So but wait, I have a question about the turf now that I'm thinking. So when people do their lawns, their full lawns, what about dogs? Then you just pick up the poo off of the turf. What about the pee-pee? Where does it just
right through?
Okay, and because underneath is the turned up soil.
Gravel. Yeah, it's gravel, so that way it will never flood or anything like that. It's like a huge French drain underneath the turf.
Oh my gosh! So how long does this last?
It's got a 15-year warranty, but I would say an easy 30 years for a home.
Wow.
Easy. Yeah.
That's incredible. I've never even, I mean, you don't have to mow it. You don't have to pull weeds.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Okay. So the next question is, what is the most important thing you have ever done at work in any job?
Treat the customer with respect
and
make sure that they get the product that they wanted. Meet their expectations. And if we try to beat it, but at least meet it. And that's in any industry or any job that I've ever done is try to do the best of my ability and treat everybody right. It's one of those things, like I even tell my guys, if you're doing a double wide or a mansion, those people spend the money the same way and they both work really hard for their money. So treat them with the utmost respect.
I can see that about you.
And that's how we do it.
That's awesome. I love that. So how do you manage your work and work-life balance?
Well, if my wife was on here,
she would say something else.
She'd say, what's a
life to do better?
What's life balance?
Oh my God. It's true though. We all get really busy and it's important. Do you try to balance it all?
I do, but I honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I work a lot. And with me developing my own turf and stuff like that, the Asian market starts up at 7 p.m. and it goes on till about 3 a.m. Then I got to get up at 6 a.m. So it's one of those things that.
So you're saying, so everyone listening, what he means by that is his company is worldwide. So his clients are not just in different time zones in the United States. They're in different time zones all across the world. So, there's at least one client that's up and working while you should be sleeping.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, it's, you got to find the balance. And honestly, I haven't found a balance yet. And I think it's because I'm just such a hustler. If there's money to be made and I can do it and I'm able to, I'm going to do it.
I get you. Well, you already said in the very beginning, hey, you know what? Whenever I do something, I go full go. Yep. And that's a good quality, but don't forget to take time for yourself and your wife and everybody.
Exactly.
It's tough. And preaching to the choir here, so I need to take my own advice. What are the most important qualities in a leader, in your opinion?
Honesty,
Mm,
integrity. I mean, honesty and integrity is a lot.
hmm.
If you have that, I mean, I pretty much think that that qualifies you as a leader for everything,
Yeah.
because you're only as good as your word. And that's, I mean, and that's just the truth. I don't know, the way to put it.
Yeah.
It's just like a John Wayne motto. I mean, I don't know. It's just,
Have you ever had to work with a client where you gave him your word and then something changed and then you had to make it right? How do you handle situations like that?
oh man, I always make it right.
Yeah.
I will say I always make it right, even if it costs me money and
Yeah.
time. I make it right because I want it to be good. It's and sometimes you can't make it right. Like
Hmm.
I got put in a position. I worked for the Ambassador Hotel in Amarillo, Texas, when I was going to college, and I happened to be the manager on duty one night when the Universal Studio record label president came over to grab his hotel room. Now, towards the end of the night, we oversold the rooms
Oh, shoot.
because I didn't think he was going to make it, right? There's bad storms.
Yeah.
And so he came in, and I had to tell him, sir, I'm so sorry. We don't have a room for you here. But across the street here, our sister hotel, we've got you a room for tonight, and we'll move you the next night. And, I got called a lot of names that night.
Oh, man.
But that's okay, because it made me who I am today. Like, it's like at the end of the day, what are they going to do? Ground you? No. So,
Yeah. But did he get a really good room at the sister hotel? I hope.
no.
No. Okay.
But he had a roof over his head.
Yeah. Wow. That's true.
So
But you live and you learn, right?
you do. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Joe Ingram just says, hello, pretty people. Oh, sorry. I saw my own reflection on my phone. We have another comedian in the house, people. Stay tuned. You know what? People probably watch my podcast just for the comments. Let's just seriously, like, I've got some good ones coming in. Thank you guys for being here. All of you who are here. Thank you. Ask questions if you want. I don't have to be the only one asking questions. If you want to ask Nick anything about artificial turf, which I didn't even think about dog poop and pee pee on your lawn and the fact that you've done golf courses. And what's another big job you've done with artificial turf? I already know the answer, but tell us.
I've done 13 rooftops, a villa, a spa, a restaurant, all in one location. I've done some stuff for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
The Buccaneers. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then Hard Rock Hotels.
Yeah.
So
That's impressive.
Mercedes-Benz, Harley Davidson. I got quite a big list.
Yeah, I know. Who knew artificial turf is in such demand, especially in the southern states, right?
I know. It's crazy. And you would think that because Florida gets so much rain and water that it would just be, but it's really not. I mean,
yeah,
it's crazy. So,
well, and so with it being gravel underneath the artificial turf, it really pulls the water away. It's probably even better than regular water. It doesn't. Oh yeah, he's saying you did Disney.
Yeah. There's certain things I can't say because of NDA there, Kim.
Oh, okay. So we'll just.
It's all good. It's all good.
Okay, so the next question is, what was your very first job you ever had?
My first job was mowing lawns.
Oh, awesome.
That and working at the range at the golf course. Those two, I think I started them probably about the same time. But my mom would. It was crazy. I'd take the lawnmower, fold it up, stick it in the back of her car, and then she'd take me to the end of the street, and I just worked my way back mowing lawns. Yeah.
How old were you when you did that?
9, 10, something
wow,
like that.
That's awesome. So you talk about your grandfathers having amazing work ethic, but you also do. I mean, I don't see very many kids these days, 9, 10 years old, going around mowing lawns.
Well, they don't, the thing is, Debbie, they don't know anything about the,
Ken Walls is here for it.
They don't know anything like the paper boy. they don't understand it. Whenever you'd see the paper boy throwing, paper, and you're like, how much do you get paid? $110 a month. And you're like, wow, $110 a month to just ride your bike and throw papers. But now there's not those jobs aren't there anymore.
No.
And so
but you can still mow lawns, and there's not very many. Every once in a while there'll be kids going around. We get snow up here, so you'll see kids wanting to,
oh yeah,
do plow or shovel off your driveway, which is great. I love that. I always take them up on it because I feel like if you're doing this, let's pay you well, and that's awesome. But I don't really see too much of the young kids, doing that. So that's impressive. I appreciate that. Yeah, Ken Walls moved to Texas to get away from the snow, he's saying. So
yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully be bought out by a or a private equity firm or something, and starting another business. I don't know what it is, but
wow. So
I'll
you're
never
the type
retire.
of guy that you'll never retire.
Never retire.
So
Never.
Once you perfect something, you're ready to move on to the next thing.
Yeah. So like this, the business I started now, I'm starting to franchise it all over the country. And so basically I found the right way to do it. So it's basically rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. And so
Nick Olin says Nick's the best there, really down to earth and great at what he does. I found that to be true when I met him in person. I was like, gosh, he is so humble and kind and has a great sense of humor. We laughed. It was so fun. So I agree with you, Nick. Have you ever had any life-changing events in your life? Any challenges that you've overcome?
Yeah. So last October I almost died. I had a double pulmonary embolism, and I try not to cry when I talk about this, so deal with me on this. So, but what happened was October 1st, I was out feeding the cows, and all of a sudden I had this ringing in my ears, and I didn't really know, so I dropped what I was doing, got back on the tractor, parked it, and we had an oximeter there at the house, and my wife put it on my finger, and it was like 126 beats per minute. My heart rate was up, and she's like, here, sit down in a chair. Sat down in a chair, got some glass of water, watched a movie, and then later that night, it was time to go to bed, and I felt a lot better. Yeah. And so I go to bed, and I wear a CPAP, and I put my CPAP on, and as soon as that air hit my lungs, I was out. And I guess I came to, and I thought I was yelling for my wife, and I got one yell out, and she dialed 911. And I fell out 3 more times, and before I got to the hospital. And then I was sitting there on the stretcher, and the doctor came in and said, this is the largest blood clot we've ever seen in this hospital. I don't know if the doctor is going to do anything about it. So let me see if he will even work on it. If not, you're going to die right here in the next hour. So
he just came right out and said it.
Yeah, there was really no beating around the bush. And so it was bad because I don't have any regrets in life. I don't. I've lived my life to the fullest. I've done a lot of cool stuff, things that people have never even thought about doing, like great white shark diving in South Africa, stuff like I've done a lot of cool stuff, and I'm grateful for it. But I saw my wife over there, and I was like, oh, I don't have anything to leave her. And so I was like, okay. And then they came back in. And so that was what really hurt me was my wife and my kids, right? That's my thing. It's like, okay, all right, this sucks. I screwed up in life on that part of my life. I screwed up, and I have to own it. Okay. So then the doctor came in and said, okay, they're going to try to operate on you. So I was like, okay. And it's supposed to be an hour-long surgery. So they're taking me down to the operating room. And I said, so how do I get anesthesia? Because I've had, procedures before, like tonsils and unfortunately the colonoscopy,
Yeah, stop.
And so I said, well, how do I get anesthesia? They said, sir, you're too far gone. You don't get anesthesia. And I was like, okay, all right. And so they put me on this thing that looked like an ironing board, this metal table. And I'm a big dude. And so
Mm.
they had one nurse and all, they started cutting me open and sticking stuff up, like, like up,
Yeah.
to try to get my blood clot out. And it took 3 hours. And so there was one nurse and all she did was just wipe my forehead because I was just sweating the whole time. It was just so much pain.
Oh my God.
And it was pretty wild. And then they got one blood clot. The other one they couldn't really get. So they said, "You want to see it?" And I said, "Yeah, I want to see what a blood clot looks like because I've never seen one in person. I've never seen one, period."
Yes, sir.
And it was big enough to cover a 4x6 postcard, and it was looked like red fettuccine noodles. I never thought that. Yeah, it was insane. And so then they told me I was in ICU for 7 to 9 days, something like that. And they told me, well, now you're going to have oxygen for the rest of your life. You're going to have oxygen. And so I did for a while. I think I showed up to Grow Live Academy.
Yeah, that's right.
With oxygen on. And it was, I never told my wife this at the time I was doing it, but I was taking sacks of feed out there at the cows because I'm really stubborn. And I was like, so I was lifting these bags of feed and stuff like that. And then if I started getting winded, I'd put the oxygen on. So I weaned myself off because it's all in the mindset.
Yeah.
And so now I don't have to wear oxygen. I do at night. I still have to at night. If I can't take a nap no more. If I take a nap and I don't have oxygen on, then seriously, it's just crazy because I only have 60% lung capacity. So
if you fall asleep without oxygen,
I could die because of lack of oxygen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but how do you, wait a minute. I don't understand how the doctors told you that you would have to wear oxygen all the time and you're not.
Mm-hmm.
What changed?
Just mindset. I mean, they taught me like the purse lips thing where and stuff like that. It literally mind over matter.
So you would do the exercises to build lung capacity to help. Okay.
Yep. And then they gave me this chamber that like the astronauts use and stuff, and see if, what my lung capacity is. And they made me I went through a whole bunch of tests and they're like 60% lung capacity. That's all you got.
Okay. And that's still the case, but you've learned to, during the day and while you're working and different things like that, using the techniques of breathing and strengthening your lungs. Okay. Wow. That's a lot. So wait, where's the other? I don't understand where is the other blood clot still there?
So I've got 3 others, and Eliquis, which is a blood thinner, supposed to be helping him out. Matter of fact, I had a ultrasound today, and I've got 2 MRIs on the 31st.
Okay.
So basically, I'm like a science expert.
Yeah.
But
what causes them?
So I'm gonna go without one of the reasons I had ultrasound to see if I don't have him anymore because of the Eliquis. They're gonna take me off for a month, and they're gonna see if it's hereditary. And if not, then I would probably say it was the shot.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
that's awful. Okay, so so from now on, you have to go back every so often to get ultrasounds to see if it's gotten bigger, if it's changed, if it's smaller, if it's gone.
Right.
Until it's gone. And if it isn't gone, you just consistently have to continue to get these ultrasounds.
Yeah, because they're in places like if they do operation, I think they think I could just basically kind of like an aneurysm, just kill me. So.
Well, Ken Walls is saying you aren't allowed to die. Just letting you know that. I will be really pissed, dude. That's a quote, okay? So just so you know.
Oh, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going
anywhere. Well, clearly you said I don't think so. The doctors have got to be proud and so amazed by your recovery.
Well, when I walked into the pulmonary doctor, and I didn't have my oxygen with me, he was amazed.
That's incredible. So, good for you.
Thanks. So that's pretty. That's it's It's great. God's great. I mean, I had
God
so
is
many
good.
people praying for me and stuff like that. It's just,
Mm,
it's great. So
yes.
that's
I
that's a
see you,
that's a big
Eric
challenge.
Flournoy. I see Eric piping in. He's such a good supporter. God love you,
Yeah.
Eric. And yes, God is good. Can I get an amen? Nick
Yes.
O is
Yeah.
still okay. All right, there we go. So the other question I have, and I'm very curious about this, what is the best career advice you have ever received?
Hmm. Uh, Real honestly, treat others how you want to be treated.
Easier said than done, right?
It is. It is. I've had a lot of people that have been very rude, and um, you just have to, you know,
What do you do? How, knowing that you want to treat others like you would like to be treated, but when they're coming at you, not treating you the way you would wish,
yeah.
do you deflect and you try to
So
understand that?
no, I'm pretty much straight shooter. So I had a pastor last year. I was working on his yard, and my guys that are working are Hispanic hard workers,
Mm-hmm.
and he was treating them like crap.
Oh,
And so I was like, this don't work. This ain't right. You don't
all
treat
right.
people like that. And he was just saying, well, I saw on YouTube and Google you do it this way and this way. I was like, sir, I wrote the book on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I promise you that these guys are doing it right. And so I said, just a minute. I went out to my pickup, grabbed the checkbook, and I wrote the deposit amount that he gave me for the job and gave it back to him. And I told my guys, pack up, we're going home. And everybody was in shock. And my crew was like, thank you so much. I said, there's no one should be treated that way.
Mm.
And,
That's commendable. That's awesome that you actually did that, because you would rather, you have loyalty to the people who are
absolutely. I'm
doing the
nothing
job.
without my crews. I am absolutely nothing without them. So,
Wow, that story right there is, you said the best career advice you've ever had, or you're probably raised this way. Treat others with respect and how you would like to be treated. That
yep,
story just shows you practice what you preach.
100%.
100%. Love that. Yes, that is awesome, bro. That's awesome, bro.
I love that guy. He's such a
Oh
good
my gosh, I do too. Nick, I could talk to you forever, and I'm really trying to stay like, we
I
talked
can
about this. But before I ask my last question,
Sure.
I want to know, is there anything that you would love to share with this audience before I ask you and we wrap?
There's no dream too big. You can accomplish anything you set your mind to. So where there's a will, there's a way. I mean,
Hmm.
truly. I mean, that's been drilled in my head, I think, since day one. Where there's a will, there's a way, and that's got to be one of the best quotes ever. Because and all entrepreneurs are dreamers. They all are dreamers. We all are.
Mm-hmm.
And don't think that the dream's too big, because it's not. And what's sad, and it's kind of like what Ken and I talk about sometimes, probably not dreaming big enough. And that's the truth. We're probably not dreaming big enough.
Well,
And
and didn't you even say that being laid off from your conductor job at the railroad was probably the best thing that could have happened to you?
yeah,
Because then you went and said, there's so much more I can do. And then you did it. So the action behind the dream is just really, it's an inspiring story. And, I got to hear it in realties, but it is an inspiring story that you did what you did. And it's just a testament to your personality, right? Because you've said so many people will wish, I hate my job, I wish I could do this. But you just said, I'm going to do this. And you're huge. You're the biggest in the world with artificial turf, and it's a big deal and it's cool. And you want to, wait a minute. What is your next? Do you know what you want to do next? Not yet.
I mean, I really don't know.
Okay. But you'll be inspired by something when the time is right.
Yeah. I mean, right now, I love helping people. And it's I get probably the most enjoyment out of helping people.
Okay, so let me tell this, you guys. Okay, so met him last week a week ago today, and I'm excited about this new business venture, and I don't know a lot. I have a lot of learning to do. Let's just say that. And so we're just talking, and he just very quietly, well, you could do this, 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 and this, and I'm like, what? And then he sent me videos showing me the stuff I needed and how it would save me money, and I'm like, and so appreciative to you. So you do like to help people. You're helping me, and I so appreciate it. And also, people, don't just think the person who's quiet in class doesn't have anything to offer, because my gosh, he is like a wealth of knowledge and the kindest, humble, amazing businessman ever. So I just feel super blessed to have you on the show. And one last question that I have, I hope you don't feel like I've just like,
no, you're good.
Question after question. But I ask all my guests this to wrap up the show. And in your life, what have you found that you can share with us to inspire us to find it too?
So, I mean, hanging out with the right people is huge. Proverbs 13:20. It's it's huge. You want to hang out with the like-minded people.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to figure that out. I thought I was hanging out with the right people, but they were just comfortable. And sometimes you kind of have to push them to the side. And I think, you have 3 rooms in your life. You have acquaintances, friends and family, and then people that get the backstage all access pass, the green room. And it's okay that your kids aren't in that green room, your parents aren't in that green room, because there might be someone who has a little bit of negativity. It's okay to put them back into friends and family. It's okay.
Yeah.
And when you understand that and understand that you still love them, but they need to go in their place. They have their place. And you have to be around the people that support you. They're positive and will shoot it to you straight. So it's really hanging around with the right people and the people you can trust.
Trust, loyalty. That is so true. Nick O Logo. Nick O Logo.
Yeah. So Jill Walls, Ken's wife, did all this for me.
Oh, she's talented.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And they've done 2 web pages for me, Lux Blades and The Real Nick O. They're getting ready to start my 3rd one for the turf distribution. And then I'll have Game Time Courts. They'll do that one for me. So it's, yeah.
That's amazing. So you guys, if you want to reach out to The Real Nick O, www.therealnicko.com, going along the bottom there. So
yeah, and they need to check out my toolbox that's in therealnicko.com. All my little hacks and secrets are right there in my toolbox.
That's awesome.
So
the toolbox, the Nick O toolbox. Go check it out, people. Go check it out. Well, that's amazing. And you're right. You are what you live, and you are what you put yourself around. And if you're with the right people who love and support you and are positive, you feed off of that. It just really is the truth, And I get what you're saying too. It doesn't mean that you love anybody any less. It's just that you need to be around those and have the VIP pass to all access. I love that. With the people who are going to help build you up, and you do the same for them. I know you do. I can tell.
Yeah, 100%. And you always have to remember there is someone out there that wants to see you fail. You always remember that. Always remember that. It's a sad.
Well, thanks for being a Debbie Downer, Nico.
But that's why you always want to stay on top of your game and be positive.
Yeah.
Because it's, and stay consistent. So that's something I see. Another thing in entrepreneurs, they're not staying consistent enough. Because if you're not putting in the work, someone else is. I guarantee you they are. I guarantee you.
Yeah. But so it's the work ethic, putting the action behind the dream, surrounding yourself with good people that support you as well. And just, I believe, I'm learning to get thicker skin, Nick, because I get my feelings hurt. You know, like I'm like, oh, why do you have to be not nice? You know, let's all be nice. You're right. There are people who want to see you fail. And I try to say that isn't real because I don't want it to be. So I tell myself, no, they want me to win. But, you know, I lie to myself to make myself feel better. But, you know, I wish everyone well. And I just think that everybody should, but, you know, it's not the way it works. I like your advice. And I love that you have found that. You have found that being with the right people does help propel you forward.
100%.
That's awesome.
It does.
I love it, Nico. Nico, I'm going to call you Nico now.
All right.
When he popped on, it was just Nico. I'm like, where's the OV?
Nico.
Yeah, I love it. All right. Well, thank you for being here. You are just a gem of a human being. And I'm so blessed to have you in my life. I so appreciate you. Everybody, don't forget to check out therealnicko.com. He's got a lot going on. Stay in touch with him. Check out the toolbox. And we will be back next week. Not Nick with me. Nick won't be with me. But Lisa Perna will be on next week. And I will see y'all again next time. Have a great night. Go find it.
Bye, guys.
That floats around me, keeping me